Good morning, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. It is a stunning spring day, and now is the time for me to be getting lots of things planted in the garden. It rained heavily last night, sunny, mild today, not going to be too hot, perfect time to be planting things. Still too early here in Portland, Oregon to be planting things like eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, but some of the hardier crops, absolutely now is the time. So today I want to share with you, I'm going to do some planting in this bed back here. I want to share with you a way to get tenfold increase on your onion crops. Here in the Pacific Northwest, some of the bulbing onions don't do as well. And if our summers are cool, it can be hard to get a good crop of them. So I grow lots of chives, Egyptian walking onions. Soon I'm going to be putting in perennial Welsh onions. I grow perennial leeks. But I also want to grow an onion that does well in cool weather and produces 10 onions off of every one I plant. And that is the shallot. So let me go show you where I source my shallots, because you may be able to order them online and you may be able to get them at your local garden center, but I find they're very expensive from those places, and I have a tip for where I go to get mine very, very inexpensively. All right, so here we are at my very favorite Asian market, and this is my secret to growing great shallots. They're $1.50 a bag here, and you get probably 15 of them in a bag. Versus at the garden center, they are $6.99 for 15, and they were all mildewy. And here you can see these are already sprouting. So these are going to be perfect. I'm going to get a couple bags. So we can see here our shallot is already germinating. Great, that's fantastic for me. Off of every one of these shallots, you're going to get between 8 and 12 new shallots. And I really prefer the flavor of shallot. I feel like it's more complex, more mild. I use it in a greater diversity of dishes than a plain old yellow onion. And it does well in my climate here because the finished shallot is about this size. But again, I'm gonna get 8 to 12 of these off of every one I plant. So let me show you this bed here and what I did to prep it yesterday before the rain, and then also how I'm going to be planting it. Okay, so here's my bed. I pulled back the wood chips. You can see I stuck them over there. That's going to get summer squash in it, so not planting in that edge of the bed yet. And then normally I don't turn over my beds, but because my dogs and kids had really trampled this bed pretty good over the winter, I took a pitchfork and loosened it. And then I turned in my typical amendments, which are glacial rock dust, azomite, any of those trace minerals I want to add into my soil. And then I also added well composted duck manure. So when you plant a shallot, it couldn't be easier. You just stick it in the ground about like that, about halfway in, with the bulb of the shallot still showing. Oh, look, my contractor's dogs are here. Oh, they're the sweetest things ever. Hi, guys. Hi. So when folks talk about how their bulbing onions don't get very big, or even their beets or other root crops don't get very big, the key is to plant them far enough apart. And with shallots, it's no different. If I placed my next shallot here, I'm not going to get a set of a ton of shallots on it. I really want to space them out well. So give them a good 8, 10, 12 inches between shallots, because I'm going to have shallots all the way out here. So let me finish planting up this bed and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's my finished bed. Now I have all of these shallots left over. So I spent a total of $3 on my shallot bed, and I have probably 10 shallots left over, and it could be really tempting for me to squeeze all of them in here, but I really want to leave this space in between each shallot so that I get a good set and these multiply really well. So I'm going to find another place to stick those shallots. Not sure where, because my whole garden is planned out for the spring, but I will find corners to tuck them in, or maybe see if my neighbor wants them. All right, that is a look at planting onions that will give you 10 times the yield, that are inexpensive. You can source them at your local Asian market perhaps, or your local grocery store. Just remember, spread them out, get them planted before tax day, and you will have a harvest 8 to 12 fold of good keeper onions with a complex flavor that work in a huge variety of dishes. Really a great plant, really undervalued, think about growing those shallots in your garden. $3 investment, and I'm gonna have dozens and dozens and dozens of shallots.